Well, hello YouTube. In this tutorial we're gonna do something extremely important. We will learn how to sort using bubble sort approach. Now, you will get that easily when you understand combinations visually. And I'm gonna ask for help here for you to go to visualalgo.net and to go to bubble sort to have that visual representation of what is happening, like animation. Because down there in a lower left corner, we can boost speed to save a little bit of time, and then you will press sort here, and then you will see what is happening. So see, this is bubble sort sorting some pseudo-randomly messed up array. Okay, what is important thing to note, that bubble sort will always reach to the end of that array, but in such a way that will combine numbers, that will compare numbers that are close to each other. So there is no skipping, guys, here. We always work with the pairs. And the total number of pairs here, total number of pairs is always smaller than total number of elements. And this is very important when we are writing code. Now, if you want to observe this visually a little bit more, just lower that speed and then enjoy into, well, sorting. But we need to write some C code here. So here's the thing, here's what we need. Well, first we need some kind of array here, whatever you like, but I'm gonna use this piece of array. And important thing here is when you're sorting, you always must know what is the total number of elements. This is extremely important because we're gonna use for loop to sort this thing. So totally here we have 10 elements. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 of them. You can type this manually or you can calculate it. But for simplicity reasons, I'm gonna type this manually because I don't wanna waste your time. Another thing, we're gonna have x and y's. Why? Because we will have for loop that is inside a for loop. So external for loop, we will use x there, and internal for loops, we're gonna use y there. And also we're gonna have helper dude, or like a temporary variable, temporary container. We are just going to call it temp. Temp will be used just for swapping. So let me type that here because some people are beginners and they really wanna know what's happening. So we must know this number in advance, or did I type that correctly? Advance, or calculate it. Calculate it. Okay, now what about these things? They are used for loops, and they are just positions where elements exists. But you know that because you probably work with the simple for loops. So this is just for positions. And this is a helper dude, like used only for swapping, and that is helper, let's say, container. Helper container. Okay, let's roll with sorting. First, external for loop. X must be 0. Why? Because it is logical. We must not skip. Let me repeat, we must not skip any value that is here at position 0. And in C and C++ and many other programming languages, we are rolling from index 0. So these things like here are indexes. In Lua, I think we are rolling from 1, but this is C, and in most languages we are rolling from 0 and 1 and 2 and blah blah blah. So these are just indexes. We must roll from 0. Now, what about upper level? Well, upper level is always number of number of combinations. And how many of them do we have here? Well, this one between 2 and 4, this is first calculation. And I'm gonna actually put that into pairs here, pairs. So let me just fix this code a little bit. Okay, so this is first grouping when we are calculating stuff, when we are swapping and comparing stuff. So this is the first combination, second, third, 4, and there is the reason why I'm manually typing this here. We're gonna explain. And 6 and 7 and 8 and 9. Now 9 is a total number of possible calculations in a first pass. Why is that important? Because how we are going to write that here? Well, 9 is smaller than 10, and 10 is a number of elements. So number of possible swaps in a first pass is a number, minus 1, because 10 minus 1 is always 9. So generally speaking, that number of elements minus 1. And also we need to use that in an internal loop. Okay, let me finish this. X++, because we don't want to skip anything. And now let's proceed with for loops where we're gonna use epsilon. So this is for internal passes. Now again, we must not skip anything, so starting point is 0. Ending point is also number minus 1, so you can just copy paste here, but we must disregard that first pass that is already done. So you cannot just roll and roll and roll. There must be point where pairs here, some of them are fixed. So how you're going to say that? Well, when the first pair is fixed, then we are going to next pair. So you can say minus x here, because when we are done with this x, we are really done, and we need to replicate that into epsilon, into internal for loop. So how to remember this mechanically, if you like? Well, just copy paste this thing from here down here and then say minus 1, and this is how you're going to easily memorize that. Or you can just say minus 6 minus 1, which is absolutely mathematically same stuff, but it depends how you remember this. I don't know how you think basically. Now epsilon plus plus, because we don't want to skip anything here, any number, any combination. Okay, so this is just for rolling through all these combinations, and now we need to do actual swapping. So how we are going to do that? Well, we will ask temporary variable to help us inside a if piece of code. So we will say, okay, just a second, if something that is, let's say, at this position, how we are going to state that? Well, something that is at array epsilon, if that thing is bigger than something that is at the right position, so we are comparing for practical purposes, for simplicity reasons, 4 and 3. We can compare any of them here, but let's just compare 4 and 3. Now, if that thing is bigger than that thing, and where this thing resides in reality? Well, in array epsilon, but plus 1. So here we are seeing what is in here, but through positions, guys. So through positions, through indexes, we are seeing, like third eye, what is happening there in those places. So basically what we are saying is, if something that is at the left side is bigger from something that is at the right side, they need to change places. And how they will change places? Well, now we're gonna say temporary variable will receive value of that left number, which is at this position. So basically in reality what we are doing is we are asking that helper dude to hold his hands right now number 4. Okay, number 4, because we are comparing 4 and 3. So dude, please take this 4, because I need to ask you to do that. You are helping me. So now the hands of dude are full, and we are proceeding with pushing 3 to the left. With pushing 3 to the left, because in a moment when we do that, the swap is almost done. How we are going to say that? Well, array epsilon, and array epsilon is a place where we do have 4, and now we need to put 3 there. How we are going to state that? Well, that thing, array epsilon, will receive whatever is at the one position from it. I know it's it's hard to explain, but you need to visualize this. So with this thing, with this line, we basically pushed 3 to the place of 4, pushed 3 to the left. Let me repeat. We pushed 3 to the left with this piece of code, and now we need to grab this 4 and push it to the right. And 4 is somewhere up here, like in top of triangle, imaginary triangle. Okay, something like this. So how we are going to state that? Well, we need to target that position, that right position, and what kind of value it will get? Well, it will get 4 that is in hands of temporary dude. So something like this. So this is just 4 in a moment of detection, what is happening between these two numbers, which one of them is bigger. Now if temporary holds 4, then we are pushing 3 to the left, Okay, so this is left, let's say shift, and then this thing we are targeting this position, but we are grabbing 4 and pushing it down there, and this is basically right shift, and with that our swap is done basically here. So let me print that whole array. So this is just normal printing, and printf sorted array and a for loop to print stuff. For x will be 0, we will not skip anything less than number, and x++, and we will just print f that specific thing in a moment of time, which is integer, and we are targeting from array whatever is at position x. Okay, let me fix this a little bit. Hopefully this will work without any kind of problems. Printf y, just a second. Oh, I don't need this one, sorry. Something like that. Okay. And there you go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There you go. Sorted array. So we are cool. Let me repeat one more time what we are doing here. This is a starting point. We always must know what is the total number of elements, because we use that in a for loop when we talk about total number of possible combinations. So total number of possible combinations in one first pass and any future pass is always for one number than total number of elements. Whatever you have here, guys, in a num, just subtract one from it when we are talking about first outsider for loop. X and y, of course, are used in a for loops. Temporary variable is temporary do that is helping us to hold any kind of bigger value when we are swapping stuff down there. Here, number of combinations is always smaller than this number, and here also same stuff as here, but then we will subtract that previous work of for loop. So this is for rolling through the stuff, and now this is piece dedicated for swapping. So we are comparing here, if something on the left side, let me repeat, if something on the left side is bigger positionally than something on the right side, then we must swap those things, because that's what we are doing in this tutorial, sorting stuff. So stuff on the left side must be smaller than stuff on the right side. Now, if we are checking if stuff on the right side is bigger, obviously we need to fix that. In that case, we are putting that big thing in a temporary variable. Then we are targeting position +1, and that value we are pushing into left side. So this is basically left shift, where you are grabbing small number and putting it into left side, and this is fixing right side in such a way that you're grabbing that stuff from temporary dude and putting it there. So guys, y is always on the left side, and y+1 is always on the right side, and positional difference between these things must always be 1. You cannot skip things like from 4 go to 10 or from 6 to 9. No, you must compare 4 and 3, 3 and 1, 5 and 8. There is no skipping. So whatever is on position y, it is left, and on position y+1 is immediately to the right. So this is pushing stuff to the left side, left shift, and this is pushing temporary stuff into right side. And this is like, how to explain this? This is like almost like coordinate system. You have left side, left value, and then you have some start of coordinate system, which is 0 practically, and then you have a right side. So you're just with this piece of code checking if this thing is bigger, and if it is bigger, it must end here, and whatever is here must end here. So this is basically swap. This is changing places. Now, I know this is kind of confusing, but guys, you need to do this almost like with a piece of paper. And when you grasp this, you're gonna grasp all other sorts with maybe a little bit more effort or less, it depends, but this must be understood, because it's in reality it's not that hard. At the end of the day, we are using here C, and in Python, for example, that's even shorter. Because in C you need to say, oh, that's integer, and so on, and use printf and placeholders. In Python it is, well, I don't know, 20% shorter code on top of my mind, I don't know. Yeah guys, I really cannot learn this for you. You must do this on a piece of paper and inside your head. Give yourself a little bit of time, and I'm gonna ask you to share this channel with other people, this tutorial, link to this YouTube stuff. You're gonna help them, you're gonna help me. Subscribe if you didn't, and I need to rest myself a little bit because my brain will explode. So thanks for watching, and see you next one.